Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm joined by the lovely Mr. Luke John.
Guten Tag.
And yeah, this is a continuation, quite late because of me, of our whiskey journey from April. You're nodding away, but it's true. It's true.
It is true. It is true. It's been a long time coming, but hopefully we kind of saved one of the best to last. So
Yeah, we picked up quite a bit of whiskey when we were there. I still think we've got some others that we probably need to arrange and get through. But this was one that we always planned on doing, and it's just all due to me that it didn't happen. So, as you would have seen by the thumbnail, but I'll show you, we went to Bruichladdich and we got a takeaway box set. I've taken the glass out of this one, but inside we have 3 whiskies from their distillery, but these were all drawn from the cask themselves. So went on the tour there, sat down and had them actually hand drawn out and put into the tasting glasses here. So there may be, because I know I said one of them was a bit disturbed by the person who'd done it, and they knocked up some of the actual charcoal charring from the bottom, which you may get some floaters. So just be prepared. Just be prepared.
Bruichladdich. Hashtag
Yes.
proper glassware.
It is, yeah. So we've got the proper glassware with it and the 3 different ones that we're going to taste. And they are different. They are 3 different styles that they themselves do. And I think probably should we just jump in and should we get into maybe number 1?
Let's go for it.
Okay. So this is a whiskey number 1. You can see different fills on everyone's sets.
It is whiskey and not a urine sample. Let's just clear that up now.
Yeah, it looks palish, but that's absolutely fine. I think it comes across quite well on the camera there. So a little about this one. Now, we're not entirely certain exactly what whiskies these are, but based on the notes that I took when she was telling us, the tour lady, I think we've narrowed it down to what this actually is. So do we want to pour this out, have a sniff, and then talk about it a bit before we jump in on tasting?
Yep, why not?
Yeah. So get this on capped into their branded glass. And I'm not going to pour it all in. I'll pour most of it. I might come back to it at the end.
I was going to say I would pour half, which is a 25ml, but I didn't have a full bottle to start with, so I mean,
you're just guessing at this stage, rough guessing. Now, with all of these ones, they are going to be cask strength. So we're looking at things that are going to be higher ABV, 50% plus. Now, my understanding of this one, it is on that 50% line. This is about 50% ABV. It is aged 14 years and it is unpeated. So this is an unpeated one that we've got.
Yeah, and I have to say, on the nose, it's very sweet. It's got this lovely sweet aroma to it, with kind of like a small amount of like sea mist. But actually, we'll get into the peat, because the peat that goes into these isn't from Islay itself. It's from Aberdeenshire. So what that means is it doesn't get the saltiness from the sea. It's got different characteristics in peat. So yeah, that's
I think it's definitely because of how long it's been in the barrel. So 14 years. This is probably, mellowed out, even though we're saying it's 50%. I think it's mellowed out. The nose is, as you say, sweet. I am getting a bit of that vanilla note off the sweetness with it.
Yeah. I'm getting kind of like a honey lemon verbena type of, like a lemon verbena honey jar. It's kind of a nice. It just sits there as well. Like it's not intrusive. So sometimes with whiskey, it can be quite intrusive on the aroma. So you get like that terps, turpentine, petrol, that type of thing.
So
this just
don't forget the other interesting thing about this one. So we know it's 14 years and it's not peated. So this is unpeated. The other two are going to be peated, but this is made with bear grain. So BERE, not bear, but that's like 6-row barley, which most whiskey and most distilling will be with 2-row. So this has come from the northern part of Scotland, the Highlands, where you have generally quite boggy land, or it's not rich in nutrients. And where they've got theirs from for this, I understand, is they've got it from. Oh no, it skipped my mind now. It will come back to me. But they've got it from one of the islands, but I don't think it was grown there. They got it from the university there, and then they've actually grown it on their land in Islay. So it is locally grown barley, but it is, yeah, it's Orkneys. Orkneys came back to me. Orkney. All right, I've loved the taste.
Does this mean that we should be getting a little bit of Highland Park then?
I don't think Highland Park used the grain. Most of the Orkneys now is 2-row. It's only a small place that started redoing this because obviously we've brought in grain and said get rid of natural species that are grown there. But yeah, they've gone back to doing this, but its yield isn't as good. So there's the swings roundabout, but it's like an ancient grain. People have used it for decades, centuries. Don't know why I'm saying decades. Not used in the last few decades, but used in centuries. I'm talking nonsense. Let's just get in and taste it, Luke.
Cheers, mate. And also cheers to Mr. Wilson and Sharky in chat. Cheers, lads. Oh.
That's very drying.
Very drying, and the heat is certainly on point with 50%.
Yeah, the nose did not give away that it was going to be that big a punch. But yeah.
I was not expecting it to be so straight off the bat. So usually you'll have some whiskies that just build up in heat. This one didn't do that. Really, as soon as it hit the palate, it was like burn.
It was a massive heat, but very drying. And I've sort of moved it around the mouth. And where I'm feeling it most is obviously middle of the tongue, but also I've got it just above my lips here, where I was actually swirling it around. So the rest of the mouth isn't dry. It's just hit certain points. Very drying, but it's not got your bourbon pepperiness left afterwards. It's very light, I would say.
Yeah. This one's kind of gone for more kind of the heat, kind of that element. Yes, I'm not doing shit.
He's not coming in until after the reviews.
But there's a little sweetness lingering just at the back, and it's quite deceptive because it's not salty. It's also not peaty. I'm trying to find somewhere where this would actually fit in, and at the minute I'm between like a Glenmarnock and a Johnny Walker
Okay.
red label, that type of area.
Oh, okay. You've gone down the level of that stage.
It's kind of, yeah. I mean, maybe it'll work. I'm going to put a pipette of water in just to see if it opens it up, because at the minute it's just on my palate.
Well, while we get ready to add the water, I think let's just do a reveal of what potentially the whiskey is for the people out there, and we'll do our pipettes. Yeah, so this one, I've just added a drop of water. I see you've done that as well. These are cask strength, so adding drops of water can assist it and can help it. So this is a Bruichladdich. It's bare grain, 14 years, and unpeated, but the ABV is 50%.
Now, straight away on the nose, it has changed.
It's not as well. The sweetness is still there, but
it's kind of gone into more caramelized.
I was going to say caramelized.
Yeah, caramel chocolate. Oh.
I like that, but I'm hoping it's not as drying. But I know the water's not going to change that characteristic on it. So, bottoms up, lad.
Cheers, Phil. More of the flavor notes there have opened up. So you get a little bit of toffee, a little bit of honey, lemon. You are actually now picking up that sea salt, so it's got a little bit of saltiness to it.
Are you getting a sort of grainy texture to it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that's to do with, the 6 row that they've done, but I get the, obviously, dryness, the graininess. On the flavor, I'm getting more of a, there's not much pepper, but there's a slight lemon undercut for me. And then the heat disappears. And then it's just sort of a warming mellowness, but I'm not getting as huge depth of flavors as you, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, to it, there's not a lot going on. I'm picking out those flavors, but it's not balanced. It doesn't to me feel like it's a balanced whiskey. He is. So yeah, it's kind of it's a little bit of a dud for me. It's not as Bruichladdich could be.
It's not their style, but again, I would say this is experimental. They are trying a ancient grain and attempting to distill with it. I think the only other people using it, I remember she was saying at the time, was the brewery up in Orkney Brewery, and they were using it to make. I've had it, Scarpa Bay or something like that. I think Scarpa Bay is up there. Yeah, I think that must be at Scarpa or Scarpa Bay. So it's not massively in commercial usage, but the university, I think, have got like a few hectares land. They're trying to grow it, bring it back, and sell on to people, get it going again. But yeah.
I mean, what price point are we looking at? Do you know?
So actually, let me have a little Google of how much this is currently going for. So I haven't done any.
This would determine or not whether or not I would actually buy it.
This was the 14 year, so 2010 edition. So the 2010 beer bar, Whiskey World, 72 quid for the 2010 edition, which this is, but this was in the cask for longer. So I say you got to understand. I don't know when that was bottled. I'd have to check out release date actually. Release date for it was 2020. So ours was in the cask for 4 years longer.
Yeah.
Now they didn't tell us what sort of cask it was. They didn't say what it was aged in, whether it was first fill, second fill, whatever fill. No idea. They didn't go into those sort of details.
Trilby fill could be Trilby fill for all we know.
Trilby fill. Oh dear.
But I mean, for that price point, I wouldn't buy it. I think there's a lot better whiskies at a.
It is highly.
But I suppose if they're experimenting with ancient barley, ancient crop, then you may just get it just to put on the shelf and help them out a little bit. But for me, it's not a drinker.
It's a bit like I know it sounds weird, but like in beer terms, when you do a heritage brew of some sort, it's you find an old recipe and try to match it exactly. Doesn't mean it's necessarily to the current taste and current styles, because things have changed. If you try and brew to an old recipe, standards and styles have changed. It's not necessarily going to appeal to people now. All right. Well, I think the next two are definitely going to be, well, they're definitely up my street. I'm not sure about yours. So let's do a little sneak peek for what we've got for Whiskey 2. So again, this is our guess on what Whiskey 2 is, potentially based on the descriptions that we had when we were there. So I've got less this time, you've got more.
Yep.
But this one that we're looking at, it's got, I'm just bringing up my notes for this. So this is been aged 20 years. It's peated, but I say the word peated, it's only 40 parts per million. Now, we know that can be quite a bit. Some places do much lower, places do higher. But yeah, it's only 40 parts per million. And it's been aged in a, I think, bourbon cask. And then it's been finished in Oloroso. And again, cask strength. So we are looking at just under 55%, so 54.9%, they said the ABV on this was. With the ABV, that may have changed from when they first done it to when we went on our visit. But the visitor centre, when we booked, we were quite early in the year, weren't we? They hadn't been, they hadn't had those casks open for long. So we were quite early in the visits and being able to get them when they were probably at their highest ABV at that stage.
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, so I've already poured some into the glass. And what I've noticed so far is colour-wise, it gets darker the way we go up. And straight off the bat, because I've just moved it around there, I've just got the smoke. Oh, that's a nice smoke.
I'm using my Bunnahabhain snifter at this stage. Don't think that'll come out unless I cover it. Yeah. Big old glass. All immediately. That peat is there, but it's very gentle.
Very gentle.
It's not big punchy peat.
There's a sweetness once again to it, so it's kind of a.
That's going to be the Oloroso finish, isn't it? That's
the Oloroso,
on that finish.
The sherry, that little sherry finish in there. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm much preferring this over the first one straight away.
The nose is so much better, although I will say I did get it just then with a big nose on it.
I can't
There
do
is that slight bonfire nose
Yeah,
that's quite present this time of year, anyways, with all the fireworks and bonfires on. But that smoke is there, but it is the
yeah.
bonfire style.
It's kind of like an ember. So after the fire's been going a while, you just get
And
that.
you were saying earlier about why this doesn't have the sea salt because of where this where they get the peated barley from, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of whiskey on Islay, when it's stored, it'll get a lot of that sea spray. So that will impart it through the cask itself. But when it's direct peated, there's a huge difference, which may come to with the third one. But it's kind of, it hasn't got that. It's more herbal and earthy than it is sea salt.
I really like the smell. I'm gonna
Yeah,
jump right in with this, but honestly, because it's peated, there's delicacies that will be in the nose. I reckon as we drop in the water, that brings out a bit more of the nose. At the moment, the nose for me is that peat led with the sweetness from the Oloroso at the end. But
yeah.
cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Everyone in chat.
That, yeah, the sweetness at the end is there. That is, you're just drinking that, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to say the smoke level's really low on that. I don't know if because of how long it's been aged. We're talking 20 years. So I don't know if the age has brought down the smoke level or that peatiness, but it's very, very smooth. It does have a drying element again to it. And again, it was in a bourbon cask, this one we know. So there's the element of the bourbon cask may have been causing that. But yeah, flavor wise, it's so soft. There's a bit of like lemon or ginger notes coming through after that sort of wine notes have passed over. But yeah, I like it.
So I don't get the dryness. Actually, in my mouth now, my mouth is just, it's lubed up. It's just my mouth now. Moisture level is just, it's really appreciating that. It hasn't dried. I have not got a dry finish. I've got a big hit of heat right on the back, right on the finish. But it's kind of it built through the process. So as it moved across the palate, you got there was a little bit of sea salt, but then it just turned the switch into a nice fruited herbal lemon. Dare I say a little bit like Earl Grey?
Okay.
For some
Oh, great.
reason,
Interesting.
just before the heat developed at the back, there's just a slight tea finish to it, but that is very good.
Yeah.
That is very good.
For me, there was a drying as I was swirling it around my mouth. I could feel the drying, but I'm with you on the heat level. The heat it built up, but then it went again quite quickly after. So I'm going to add some water to it. I'm assuming you might be doing the same to change it. But what we'll do is reveal what we think it is. And I say it's cask strength and it's been in a cask, so it may not be exactly the same one, but this is what we suspect we've been drinking. So yeah, it's a Port Charlotte, 20 years. Everything sort of matches up from the descriptions that we've been given to actually what a 20-year Port Charlotte is. Even like ABV, the peated level. Now, Port Charlotte is their peated. Their peated ones are via Port Charlotte, aren't they? Bruichladdich doesn't tend to do peated under that name Bruichladdich, but under the Port Charlotte theirs they do, and it seems to match up. I am going to add a little bit more in and then add the water drop. I'm assuming you've already done your water.
I've already added a little bit more and the
I was
water.
in my own world listening to the music there rather than actually doing the water.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got it. So I've still got the taste within the mouth. Like it hasn't totally subdued yet, which I think is a sign of a good whiskey, to be honest.
That's yes, then no, Joey.
Thank you, Joey. But yeah, I mean,
the nose has changed. The nose has changed for me. I think it's brought out more of the smoke. The water's opened it up, and I've got less of the sweetness that I was getting from the Oloroso, I'm guessing, that added in. It's just smoky.
So for me on the nose, it is sweeter. The smoke is now a little bit more delicate in a way, but it's lasting longer. But it's just if now it feels very balanced in terms of sweetness, smokiness. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to now to see what happens with this. And it's amazing.
I'm looking forward to even more with that.
It's amazing because with whiskey, and what a lot of people don't know is one little pipette of water, so one little droplet of water could change an entire whiskey. So, that's the great thing with it. You can add one drop, change. You add another drop, it changes again. So,
but especially with these higher cask strength ABV ones that we're looking at, so I'd say nearly 55% ABV. Yeah. This is cask strength.
If you get a white in Mackay, just empty the bottle out, fill it with water, and jobs are
drink the water.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So cheers, man.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, chat. I can see there's 37 comments. Oh,
that is. Oh, wait, the heat. And then the heat's gone down. Straight away for me, that was, I'm going to say, it was more drying. I felt it drying on the tip of my tongue. The heat then builds, but it's brought back a lot of that smoke. It really has. And I'm assuming there's going to be an aftertaste of sweetness coming through, but I'm not getting it just yet.
Yeah. So for me, straight away, the dryness has been amplified. The sweetness has been amplified and very mellowed out. So it's kind of like if it was a texture, so you'd go more from a honey to like a marmalade type. So it's kind of that little texture, flavor note of the lemon is a little bit thicker in a mouthfeel. The smokiness is really there. The heat drops slightly, but the smoke comes up. Whatever price that is, I would buy that again.
Yeah, price-wise. So obviously we're talking 20 years aged. And I was just typing that in, and I'm sure you could probably find it cheaper than that, but on Master of Malt, it's about £530 for a bottle. which is a hefty price tag for a single bottle, but it is a decent bottle. And
Yeah.
I like the complexities that when you add the water with this, you are getting a different whiskey. For me, that drop of water has brought out more of that peat, which is what I was looking for. It's sort of pulled back on the ginger element. The lemon undercut's still there, but I don't know. I could have it with and without, because I actually was enjoying the sweetness from the Oloroso cask. I was enjoying getting those sort of soft fruits coming in.
Yeah.
Again, the few things we don't know: how long was it left to finish in the Oloroso? I mean, we don't know. Out of those 20 years, was it 19 years and 6 months in the bourbon and then 6 months in Oloroso? We know it tends to be, as we say, finishing. So it's the final few months that it goes in there for. And I don't know, was it first fill bourbon? I doubt it. Based on the flavor profile, I'm not saying first fill, nor probably second fill at that stage. But it took on some of those bourbon characteristics for the drying. Hasn't brought through, thankfully, that massive pepperiness. And then it's just so smooth and soft, this one. It is really a nice one, but I don't think I'd pay 500 quid for it.
I would, but that's just me. I think as soon as that little pipette of water hit, it's really opened it and developed a lot more of what you want out of a whiskey. Yeah, I mean, I might have a rich taste bud, who knows? But it's, to me, that's striking a little spot. Do you want to run, before we get on to the next one, do you want to run through some of the comments there?
Yeah, I was just trying to look through. It's a lot of Joey. Joey's complimenting you. He's enjoying your beard. 37 comments, 24 about your appearance, Luke. 21 positive. Oh, not sure about the 3 negative. And then the water he's drinking is clear and non-alcoholic, which is disappointing, I would say. You are now someone's text notification.
Lubed up. Lubed up.
Wait. I should be quiet and then we can get a better version of it.
Lubed up.
And then a lot of it is Joey. I've shown some of the ones that Joey's been saying as along the way, about, what's the review? Luke John sold his car to pay for the heat. Dun dun dun. And then we're not swearing off for his liking. And then obviously his last one is that, which was a compliment about your beard. As you were stroking it, I put it up.
Yeah.
We've got one more from Bruichladdich here, which is quite a famous one that they produce. You've got a lot more of it to sample than I, but that's just my own fault.
Can I just say I have a full bottle? Like, I'm rimming it at this point. I'm rimmed by an Octomore.
I think we'll leave that there with you saying that. Some of you might recognize that slightly distinctive shaped bottle that I grayed out there. But yeah, we'll go into this one. This one's it's a big one. It's a big one, isn't it? This is our biggest for a few reasons. One, highest ABV. It's about 60%, this one. And also it's the most peated we've got on here. So I'm just looking at the notes, what she said at the time, 167 parts per million. Wow.
So in terms of a beer, it's West Coast on steroids.
This is, yeah, like you would have that like multiple, triple hopped, dry hopped and all the rest. I poured mine in, and unfortunately, I do have some of the little wood embers floating around in mine. Not sure about you. My portion is lower because of me. Nothing to do with Luke getting bigger samples or anything at all. I've already helped myself to some of this. I couldn't help it. So that's why this is currently lower than yours.
Don't forget, Mr. Wilson, we've had these since April.
You're lucky I held off that long.
And I've been looking forward to getting into them. And then just before we came on tonight, Liam was like, "Oh, by the way, there's a little less in each of my bottles."
Yeah.
Well,
what can I say? What can I say? It is a bit of cheating. So I guess we probably need to show what this one is to sort of explain it, don't we? Because there's a lot behind this one. But what are you getting on the nose beyond your bonfire campfire?
To be honest, I'm not getting a lot of smoke. I'm getting a very nice sweetness. I'm getting a kind of a marshmallow schmore type of vibe going on, but not a lot of smoke at all.
No, there's an undertone of peat, but it's very, very light. I mean, I'm getting more of the sort of grass grain element over the actual peat.
Yeah, and what we'll say about this bottle is it's not a current release. So just the more current releases, so the 14.2, I think it might even go up to 15 now. But they are peat level next step. So, it's kind of, this is, if you said the name of this bottle to me, I'd have gone, no way. No way.
I think we'll reveal it and then we can explain a bit more because, it needs explanation before we go into it. Yeah, the around 60%, wasn't it, at that stage? When they tested the strength of this, they said it was over 61.5, but they were judging based on how long it's been open, it will have lost some. So yeah, this is an Octomore, which is one of the most peated whiskies you will get out there, but the peat levels vary based on releases. They release one every year, and the series has a number. So, as you said, I think, are we on 15? It started in 2010. So, would this be 14 we're on or 15?
I think we're on 14.3. 14.3 or 15.
Yeah. So, how the numbering works is obviously number at the front is the series. So, for each year. So, this is 7, which was released about 7 years ago, but it'd been aged for much longer when we had ours. So the release that came out 7.3 would have probably been aged for 7-8 years. We've had ours in the barrel for that time until 2024, hence the 13 years of aging for it. So the 7 is the year. The number after it identifies the type of Octomore it is. So 1 is just their, first standard release, which is bourbon aged barrels. 2 means it's a mixed cask. So you would end up with, a sherry or a Oloroso or some sort of cask where it's been finished. 3, which is ours, is entirely Islay barley. So this one is barley that they grow on the Octomore farm. And all the water for all of the Octomores comes from the Octomore farm spring, which is why I think its name is Octomore. And sometimes you get a 4. You don't always get a 4, but 4 is a special release. So it could be they've kept it and aged it for a certain length of time, or it could be something else that they've done with it. But you generally will get 3 releases in a year. You may get a 4th. But yeah, this is I'm not going to say souped up 7.3, but it's a 7.3 that's been aged for probably double the length of time.
Yeah. And I will say it's kind of got a little bit of a rosé tinge to it. It's actually surprisingly lighter than the others, which actually in the bottle, when I had a look just beforehand, it seemed the darkest, but now in the glass, it's kind of a lot lighter than I was expecting.
Hard for me to judge because mine's in such a small quantity size.
Yeah, I mean, I am quite lucky in that way. But, I mean, the nose, it is inviting, but knowing that it's an Octomore, it's a bit, can I say disappointing? On the nose?
The
It's
nose,
not
it hasn't got the hit that you're expecting for the ppms that haven't peated it is. But 2 things to note: this isn't one of their most peated years, one of the most peated series. They go much higher than that, and also this has had longer for aging, so there would have been loss anyways, and I don't know, over time you got your air with the water and all the rest coming in that will perhaps mellow it down a bit. But I'm excited. I say that knowing that I've already had it. So yeah.
Well,
Cheers,
without further
everyone.
ado, cheers everyone.
Do you feel the heat building and building?
I've got the heat, but the heat's kind of subtracting the flavour profile of it. It kind of overpowered any of the flavour notes. It's great. It is a very peated whiskey, which is something we didn't get on the nose. But it's kind of how it develops along the palate. There's like a woodiness to it. There's a little bit of tree bark. There's a little bit of that type of thing going on. But other than that, it's the heat's kind of took away any of the flavour profile. It may change once we had a little bit of water, but
yeah, the heat, as you could see, it was just building, coming at you, and you could feel it building up. But it's also moving through the mouth towards the back as the heat was going. But I actually found also, just say texture-wise, that felt thicker than any of the other ones. There was a lot more body to it. Viscosity.
You can tell he's posh.
But it felt more of a mouthfeel when you were drinking that. And whereas, don't get me wrong, the second one, Port Charlotte, was smooth, really nice, but I actually preferred the actual more depth body that this one had with it. I like my smoke. It has left a lovely smoky mouth. You can just breathe in and it feels like you're outside in November bonfires at this stage. It is nice, but as I say, I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not your go-to of saying, oh, I want a nightcap, I'm going to have a whiskey to finish the night. You don't want to go home with this in your mouth probably after having other drinks. It's definitely an occasional one. I think water time.
Yep. Let's go for it. I mean, if you got home and the missus found this on your breath, she'd be like, what timber have you been slogging? You know, it'll be like, whoa, woman, don't
Just
sing
had
that
an
there.
exhaust pipe in my mouth at that stage. It feels like, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just go for one drop. Go.
It's impacted the nose very slightly. Again, I feel like it's brought out more of the peat, more of the smoke on it.
I'm still getting that nice on the nose. It's opened up a couple of the oils in it now. So it is a little bit sweeter on my nose, but yeah.
So I don't think we covered this. I see it scrolling along the bottom, which we've got to mention was it was first aged in second fill bourbon casks, and then it was transferred to an American oak Spanish wine cask. So that's where potentially the sweetness element's coming from with its finish. Again, unsure how long the finish was for. I reckon it was just when they pulled it out and they put it in there to finish and then rolled it into position for tasting. So that would have been maybe prior to Christmas time when they shut down and they get ready for everyone coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on the nose, let's go for a taste. Let's see if it's developed any, shall we?
Cool. Cheers, everyone.
Cheeses. Little throw out to beer man there. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The heat is there again. It does that building, but I don't think it was a rolling heat as much. It was a lot
Sorry,
more.
I was just having a moment.
I'll leave you to have your moment. Have your moment. I feel like you should have had a polo neck and Steve Jobs style.
I'm pouring another, by the way, just to...
That's really nice. I got like slight vanilla notes off it now. So there is that sweetness. There's a bit of vanilla, and there is like brown sugar. So vanilla, brown sugar, but the smoke isn't as big. But then I don't know if that's because my mouth was so smoky anyways. I should have probably took a sip of water in between that one and when I added water again because I didn't cleanse my palate. And I think I still had the peat from previously.
Well, I did take a little sip, but that's as I have done throughout. That to me there was kind of the whole package of early Octomore. This was so when I said I wasn't keen on the big peat smoke, this is kind of my level of peatiness, smokiness. And to me now that the water's been added, it is, as you said, brown sugar, vanilla. There's a little bit of toffee. There's a little bit of honey. It's really opened up the oils within there and the flavor, along with the kind of the smoke has been diluted in it.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, it's very much now well-rounded, and it's balanced throughout of sweetness, smokiness, heat. There was heat there, but it wasn't as impactful. It's kind of now developed a lot more. I think. Yeah, I really enjoy this one.
Well, there's two elements of this one though. It is not your Octomore 0.1 versions because it has finished. So 2 and 3 get a finish. Not always, but this 2 and 3 did. But also, it's not the most smoked and most peated. So I was just having a quick look there, and we're on 15 this year, and 15.3 was their second most heavily peated, and it was 307 parts per million, which is almost double what ours is, which is crazy to think of. But don't forget that ours has also had time to mellow with the aging process, so I feel it's taken off some of that potential peatiness. Now, I've not had Octomore before. I know you said you've had it before, but you weren't a fan of it because it was just a bonfire, wasn't it?
Yeah, so some of the elements like 13.1, 14.1 that we just had were kind of a little bit too much. Let's just say that. It's kind of if I was to put it in craft beer terms, you've kind of got a dipper and then along comes Octomore 14.1 as a tipper. Like a West Coast tip. You kind of
quad
balance.
IPA. It goes beyond. It's not just moving up one.
Yeah,
it's going beyond it. Yeah, it's going beyond it.
But it's kind of. It was a little bit too much of that peat. I mean, I like to have the aromas, the flavors, on my palate. But this is one of the reasons why we actually went to Islay early in the year, because I wanted to develop my palate more on the peated side. As it turned out, not a lot of the whiskey was peated.
You had a few. But yeah, it was probably. I mean, apart from Vermeer, I would say that if we exclude them, because all their ones are slightly peated, but they're not heavily peated, it's probably like 50-50 or less than that, wasn't it? 60-40 to unpeated that we had. And then Vermeer we had, well, you had 4 there? 5? I had 3. And then we bought some miniatures. So it doesn't count. We had a few of their different ones. Yeah.
But for me, it's kind of, it leaves open a journey to see, because Islay, people think, Islay, it's the island of peat. Big, you've got your Lagavulin, your Lafroy, your Bruichladdich. But actually what you find is, amongst their ranges, a lot, I would say the majority of whiskey isn't peated on the island. So it's, I think that's
and don't forget though, a lot of them, they're not actually doing the malting on Islay, so they're buying it in. So you're not even getting that traditional Islay peat that you would expect, which is, say, with the sea salt. We're not getting that. We're getting the probably. Does Aberdeen area count as Highlands? No, they're not. They count as not Speyside, Lowland, maybe. I don't know, actually. I'm trying to think. The Speyside's very particular. Highlands there. So are they considered?
Lowland is Annandale. Yeah. And then you've got obviously Campbelltown, which is just known as Campbelltown, Kintyre.
It's a nice segue there to Campbelltown. Thank you.
It is. Let me just 1 sec. I need to let me pussy out.
Get out of here, you. Not on this stream. Not on this stream.
Just an interlude.
That's fine. So as I was just saying, nice segue from Luke there. He mentioned Campbelltown. I've been very lazy. I haven't done any of the editing or any of the uploads or anything at all from our trip. And I do have, I shouldn't do it that way. I like it that way. I do have 3 videos scheduled to come up over the next week. I've edited them, and it wasn't much editing really, but I've got them ready to go. So one of them is just literally not walk around, but just a view around what Campbelltown is. And then the other 2 are to do with actual beer, which was the tasting that we've done, which I'm sure Luke remembers. Oh, you're muted. Sorry. You're unmuted
Very,
now.
very fondly, mate. Very fondly.
Yeah. Origin series. So yeah, just got a few of those going up. And then hopefully, this isn't the last you see of us for this year. Me and Mr. Luke John have some stuff planned, hopefully. Not that stuff.
Yep. Not
We've
that
got
type
Birmingham, first of all.
We have
Don't know
indeed.
if there'll be any content that comes out of it.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Birmingham. I'm looking forward to the Mr. Wilson and Mr. Wilson double get up, mafia style. I reckon it should be a cracking weekend. There's a good group of us this year, or this time round, because we've already done it once this year. I think there's about 12 of us, which I think is a pretty good number, and it's a good mix-up as well of whiskey drinkers, beer lovers, and those who are not into the drinking scene. But it's kind of going to be good just to bounce off each other, and you never know, it may even slow Mr. Wilson down.
There's no slowing him. There's no slowing him at this stage at all. Yeah.
But I'm not
the
forward
other
to
thing will be the Christmas markets on at the same time. So it could be a bit busy, but we're not interested in the Christmas market, apart from maybe one or two of the German beers. But yeah, hopefully we've got plans to avoid all of that.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously people know I'm on a Slim and Well plan now. That does not exist for that weekend. Doesn't mean I'm going to go crazy. I'm still thinking of actually doing a day whiskey themed day vlog. Hopefully with young Liam here, and
I'm older than you.
Hopefully it'll also go out on his channel as well. So yeah, we've got a lot planned. Yeah,
it's Birmingham city centre. We don't need drivers. We don't need drivers at this stage.
No, Mr. Wilson drives us all enough, so that's all right. But yeah, we got loads coming up. Don't forget our 12 days of whiskey in the new year.
Christmas
Can't forget
time.
that.
Yeah, 12 days of whiskey starts. I always forget. Is it Christmas Day or Boxing Day? I never remember. One of those days. So we've got that, which we have to film. And then we've also, you've got your Advent countdown that you've got going on your channel.
Yep, I've got not just an Advent calendar, which I may do joined with someone. I never know. But I've also got a 25-day Vlogmas. So literally, I've bought a Slimmer World Christmas book that's just come out, and I'm now busy recording loads of videos for Vlogmas. So 25 videos in a month. Kind of takes me back to where I was in April, with a video every day type of thing. So,
yep. And then, as you said, there might be something as well between us to tide you over the lead up to Christmas before the 12 days of whiskey, which I don't think we'll give any teasers yet of what we're doing. Last year, it was a bit mainstream. It was obviously the 12 best-selling whiskies, which included bourbons and things that probably we wouldn't always identify as whiskies. But this year, we've got a different theme, and I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a nice variety.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to everything happening. People will know I have got an update vlog, which will be part of my weigh-in, which will go out tomorrow. So if people want to know where I am health-wise and that type of thing, watch that one. It'll explain a few things, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that type of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a year, October next year. I'm I will be in Osaka in Japan. That's already booked. That's already a done deal and all ready to go. And then who knows from there where else I'll be going. But there's a few countries that myself and the elusive cameraman, who was elusive, to be honest, he's come out of his shell a bit. He's kind of like, he doesn't mind the camera now as much. So who knows? It could be a...
I thought we'd call him director, not cameraman. He got promoted.
To be honest, I was calling him Uber for a bit. I was like, he's not even... After Islay and finding out, I was like, photos, videos, he was like, yeah, I was just enjoying myself. I forgot them.
He was doing the drone shots and other items as well. So hopefully he can get some good shots as well.
Yeah.
He's not going Birmingham, sadly, so you're not getting amazing shots of Birmingham, are you, from above?
Don't think I need it, do I?
No, I don't think you do. That's what I'm saying. You don't need it at that stage. But yeah, so we've hit the hour mark. I think probably a good time to sum up and finish and all the rest. I do have a bit left, but that's from my first one, which was actually the least favourite of them all for me. But I will finish that. But
I've just emptied bottle number 2.
Did you leave some of the Octomore then, or have you finished that entirely?
I've saved a drum.
You've saved a little bit.
Saved a drum. I've saved a drum. And a drummer number 1 as well. So
yeah, I just poured in the last of number 1. I've mixed it into the same glass that had the Octomore, hoping it takes in a bit of the peatiness from there, rather than putting it in the glass that originally had it in. You know, mix it up a bit. Yeah. I don't think it will, though. I don't think it will.
But cheers, folks. Thank you all very much. And if not, we'll catch you on the very next one, which will be the 12 Days of Whiskey. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, everyone. Bye. Thanks so much. Take care.